Hi, welcome to Video Views. I'm Brian Miller.
I'm Riley Webster.
And we got a kind of a special edition Star Trek style for you here. Going to be breaking these up into different segments, so we're going to start with the original series.
The originals. The Shats.
Nice. Then we're going to move on to Next Generation.
Pats.
And then we're going to move on to the new Star Trek.
The Swings and Misses.
So the first one, Star Trek, the motion picture.
Everyone's favorite.
Is it?
Epic journey of the Starship Enterprise, traveling to the outer limits of time and space to challenge a vast, living machine of destruction.
Yeah.
It was a Star Trek episode that was long.
Well, yeah.
And Star Trek episodes aren't always known to be the most exciting things. I mean, they're...
Have you seen the fight with the Lizard Man? So I'd never seen this movie before. The reputation is that it's very slow and dull. When it came out, everyone was expecting Star Wars, and they got not Star Wars. But kind of loved it.
You liked it.
This is one of my favorites, the first one, because it was so weird. Like, yeah,
It was a bit weird.
It's too slow at times, and it misses the character interaction. Like, Spock doesn't even go onto the Enterprise until about halfway through.
Was this what Kirk was always like in the series? He doesn't have any success in the movie based on his own talents. He just sits back, does his Kirk thing in his captain's chair, and is like, watches everybody else do awesome things. Picard's better. Hey nerds, you want to fight me about it? Picard is better. Picard is better than every single way as a captain.
Captain Jane Goodall.
The human adventure is just beginning.
Good visuals for back then. The music's great. I liked it. So 3.5 out of 5. I really liked it.
I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5. We're always very close, even though we seem like we're just on opposite ends of the pool here.
Star Trek, the motion picture.
I do love Khan. I love Ricardo Montalban. I think he's freaking awesome in this, and he adds just that level of class to the schlock that I think the movie's needed. And at the same time, I was shocked in the movie, and I was like, wow, considering Khan is now in pop culture considered the greatest Star Trek villain and Kirk's ultimate nemesis, they never shared one scene together. They're never in the same room.
They're always on the viewer screen.
They never even have like a fist fight, which Kirk is usually great at.
I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up.
This was the biggest letdown of this movie, was that they call him on several occasions like he's a genius level IQ, he's a mastermind strategist.
Yeah.
And he doesn't win one of the fights that he gets into. Kirk. He just makes stupid bonehead mistakes.
Yeah.
He's like, shit, I didn't really think about them having shields.
Yeah.
They did the story wrong. It should have been Kirk keeps losing.
Yeah, and then
And just barely gets away.
Yeah.
And then at the end overcomes it. Let's also talk about how racist Star Trek is. Okay? They have no respect or anything. And this funeral is a perfect example. Spock probably has this whole thing, this whole Vulcan ritual he's supposed to do, which we know he does because they bring it up in the third movie.
Spoilers.
And they just are like, no, it. I just loved all his human traits. I didn't respect him for the Vulcan that he was, but I liked all his human traits instead. Let's just launch him out in a torpedo. Let's just do that instead. Play some bagpipes. He wasn't Scottish because he wasn't even from that planet, but let's just do that anyway.
Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human.
My favorite part is criticizing movies. That's my favorite part of doing this, obviously. But there was a lot of good moments in this movie.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a bad movie at all. The performances were good.
I would give Wrath of Khan also
3.5 out of 5, maybe 4 on a good day.
I'd give it 3.5.
Okay, there you go. It's a fun movie. It's fun. I don't know if it deserves the reputation of classic like a lot of people say it does, but it's a good time.
I mean, to give us a peek into the future for when we do the new Star Treks, I think the new Wrath of Khan's better.
Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
I give these all the same shrug.
The same shrug.
It's
Star Trek
it's
shrug.
a Star Trek movie. Wait, what do you want me to say? Is it a great movie? No, none of them are. Get over yourself, Star Trek people.
All that they've loved, all that they've fought for, all that they've stood for will now be put to the test.
This one I like because I thought, oh, it's so cool. They're looking for a dead guy, and there's Doc Brown with a weird forehead, and there's a big fist fight, which I remembered being a lot cooler than it actually is at the end. That shit was embarrassing.
Yeah. I like the performance by DeForest Kelley. When he was playing Spock, he had some good Spockisms.
Yeah, he was good.
I think I do like those kind of movies where like Face Off, one of your favies.
Oh shit! You just said Face Off.
When actors,
myself.
You get licking. You're hot.
When actors who have a very like distinct way that they play characters have to play each other, and it's kind of it's fun to watch people do those performances. It was a cool thing, and then they did the whole Avatar thing at the end where they had Spock's body and then he was just an empty shell, and they put his mind back into him, and then he remembers his friend Jim. I call you Jim, right? And it's like, no, you call me Captain. Smack.
Fuck! We're a sitting duck.
Search for Spock, I would give it 2.5.
Is a cute little movie.
Okay.
I think it's fine. 3 out of 5 because of nostalgia, but also because watching it again, I realize it's kind of a mess and it's a little stupid.
Star Trek III, The Search for Spock.
I like this one a little bit more because I saw this one probably 4 or 5 times when I was a kid.
That'll do it.
Even though I knew watching it again that there was no reason I should like it more, but it was like,
no,
you get the nice little feelings like, I remember that part.
See, and that surprised me because as a kid I saw this once and I said that was the most boring movie I've ever seen, and I never watched it again.
Judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived at the latter half of the 20th century.
Stardate 1986.
San Francisco. Our own world is waiting for us to save it.
It's freaking Crocodile Dundee with a spaceship.
It did have a Dundee-ish.
No, it's a cute fish out of water tale where the crew has to go back in time.
Is that a whale like joke? I was gonna say pun, but
it wasn't.
a pun.
I didn't even realize. I'm gonna redo that so that when I edit this, it'll look like I'm really smart. A clever fish out of water tale where they go back in time to find some humpback whales.
I'm hearing that joke for the first time, and it's funny.
This is an extremely primitive and paranoid culture.
What does it mean, exact change?
Many of their customs will doubtless take us by surprise.
It's a weird story.
It is a
Again,
messed up
directed
movie.
by Leonard Nimoy, like The Search for Spock was. So this one is more of a comedy than the rest.
Yeah. This is
And I kind of like that. I think I felt like they got all the actors were like, we're sick of always being on the bridge of the Enterprise. This weird probe thing heading towards Earth, and you didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But they had to go figure out how to do it, and they were like, well, let's do that time travel thing that we know how to do. And I was like, oh, you guys know how to time travel? That would fix so many of your problems.
Okay, see, that's when I get pissed off right off the gate because literally the last 2 movies were all about
why
God,
not
I wish
bring Spock
I wish I
back?
could turn back time and save my friend or save my son. No, it was we gotta find some humpbacks. Let's go back in time.
Yeah, it was like
that.
Admiral Kirk! I'm coming with you.
You can't. Our next stop is the 23rd century.
I give it 2 or 2.5 stars. I don't know. It's fine. It exists. I forgot about it already.
I give it a star rating, 3 stars. When I say this is one of my favorites of the series, it doesn't mean that I liked any of them.
We're the wrong people to do this on Vulcan TV.
There is
CA.
Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home.
So Final Frontier freaking sucks.
So you see it flash on screen that it's directed by Shatner, and you're like, uh-oh.
Wah, wah.
And then you see the first scene, and you're like, uh-oh.
And then the movie is a progressive series of, uh-oh.
Yeah.
The future of mankind is at stake. It could only mean one thing.
Greetings, Captain.
Spock!
I do not think you realize the gravity of your situation.
The vacation is over.
It wasn't my least favorite, to be honest.
What?
Yeah, no, and here's why. Because
what?
I dig into this one and I see where it could have been good, and then I just blame Shatner for directing it wrong. This one has a bad guy with actual motivation. And it's not the greatest motivation, and they went in a weird way with it. But here's what I liked about it. Let's just stick to what I liked.
Taking adventure where it has never gone before.
What are you standing around for? Do you not know a jailbreak when you see one?
I chiseled away at the crap while I'm watching it, like you tend to do. And I'm thinking, okay, some of this actually could have been cool in somebody else's hands.
Yes.
Elements out of this movie are more interesting to me than anything out of any of the other movies that happened thus far. Not as an overall movie do I think it's the best movie ever or anything.
Yeah.
I just think the fact that they had a character who had a cool motivation, he had a cool power, and that they set it up like that was kind of neat, because they hadn't done that to this point.
It just feels like we're giving like a bronze star to a science project that's a pile of poop.
Yeah, no,
and
that's,
it's like,
that's exactly
hey,
what
I
we're doing.
grew all this fertilizer in a really cool way. And they're going, oh, you're so creative. Too bad it's still a pile of shit.
Fascinating. How often have you done this?
Actually, it's my first attempt.
Fire the rockets!
I give it one lonely star. Star Trek 5, 1.5 stars out of. That's 0.5 more than it deserves.
Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier.
This one was probably my favorite.
Oh, yay! He's got something positive to say.
And I remember, like, you had watched it. I had never seen it before, and you're like, you said you kind of liked the last one because it was kind of like a murder mystery.
Yeah.
Instead of and it was. It was kind of fun. It was very obvious, I thought, from the beginning who the offending person was. But besides that,
the only major character that's not
the
pre-established
new person,
Star Trek,
the newer person that they put a neon sign around at the beginning and said, "Pay attention to this person right here.
She's the mole."
Important.
On the brink of war.
We come in peace, and you blatantly defy that.
We haven't fired. According to our data banks, we have.
I shall blow you out of the stars.
It was fun watching them investigate. You know, like it was silly. Let's be honest. Like it was a silly investigation, but it was. You know, that's what Star Trek is a lot.
Well,
of times. It's silliness, and it was fun to watch them do it that way.
It's just always funny watching these futuristic movies, and Star Wars is another prime example where you can build these amazing spaceships that can destroy planets, but they don't have security cameras in the hallways.
Yeah.
Where you could just see, oh, Captain's log, stardate 4762. The security camera showed 2 people walked out of there after killing everyone. They're covered in blood. They took off their helmets and we saw them.
Yeah.
Like a J.C. Penney has these cameras, and starships in the future don't have them.
We would consider an attempt to rescue them an act of war.
There will never be a better time.
Did they know this was going to be the last one when
Yes.
they did it? So,
supposedly, yes.
Well, you know, the way they ended it, it very much seems.
Well, because
the whole thing, everybody was retiring.
Yeah. This was made when Next Generation already came out on TV. So the torch had already been passed.
Yeah.
And they figured, okay, the next movie's probably going to be Next Generation, but this is the last go-around for the Enterprise crew.
Yep.
The phrase is, you go out with a bang. And this one said, you know what? Nah, forget the bangs. Let's just go out with this like Agatha Christie murder mystery little whimper.
It's weird, but it was fun.
It's so small, and that's why it's so cool.
You cannot take much more of this. Cry havoc! Kill! And let's slip the dogs of war. Fire!
I would give this one a solid 4, actually.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely by far my top. So what was my highest one before that? 3.
Like 2.
3? What did I give Con?
You've been a big grumpy Gus all night.
I have. No, it was a competent movie. Out of all of them, this is probably the one I would see again.
3.5 stars for me. It's a good film. It's a solid film. It's tied with my favorite because half of them I all think are the same. 1, 2, and 6, they're all good shows. I like them all. The rest, I take them or leave them.
Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
So you want to see the rest of these episodes? We're going to have the Next Generation coming up soon.
Yay!
And the newer Star Trek movies. Visit vulcantv.ca. That's where you can find these.
You can watch us shadow over your favorite films while we pick hard all of the problems in them.